Limited. He's an engineer by profession with a master's degree in business administration, specializing in marketing management, and has put in over 3 decades of rich experience in the natural gas and petrochemical industry. Mr. Mathur is the chairman of the Energy Committee of the PHD Chamber of Commerce and Industry and a member of the Hydrocarbon Committee of the Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He is also on the Governing Council of the Natural Gas Society. He started his career stunt with GAIL, and in his over 30 years in gas industry, he has steered many initiatives under different profiles of marketing and business development areas. His assignments included natural gas trading, gas transmission and marketing, and other allied products within India and overseas. He was also the managing director of Mahanagar Gas Limited, Mumbai, a leading CGD company from 2014 to 2018. Presently, he looks after corporate affairs and risk management in GAIL. He is also the director on the board of MS China Gas Holdings Limited, Hong Kong, and of GAIL Gas Limited, New Delhi. Mr. Rajiv Mathur.
A very good morning to all of you. Esteemed Dr. R.C. Bhargav, Dr. Sarraf, all the other distinguished members on the panel here, ladies and gentlemen. It's my proud privilege to be here amongst you on the occasion of this second edition of this Gas Tech today. As has been said, we've been working on creating this Gas Tech for the last 1 year or so, and had several rounds of discussions with the industry members as to how to structure the whole program. We've tried to bring in the best people from the industry, from the stakeholders, who will today discuss and deliberate on various issues relating to natural gas. And the theme that we have selected is unlocking the natural gas value chain potential in India. So we believe that there is tremendous potential for natural gas as we go forward in the energy basket. The government is also very supportive and proactive in terms of saying that, the share of gas in energy basket should rise from 6% to 15% in the next 10 years. And if that is any number to go by, then the use of gas has to increase at least 5-folds in the coming 10 years. So, all in all, with the kind of speakers that we have, with the kind of panelists that we have, I'm sure we will find ways and means of unlocking the potential of this natural gas. And with every stakeholder pitching in, I'm sure we will reach that 15% number going forward. The Honorable Prime Minister has also spoken about piped natural gas going to every household in the urban centers. He's also talked about cleaning the environment. He's also talked about using of clean fuels in the cities. And translating that, the government through the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas and the Regulatory Board have come out with very progressive steps as far as the development of the sector is concerned. First of all, the government decided that the priority allocation of natural gas from domestic sources should change, and they have given the use of gas for city gas, piped gas distribution into houses and for transport sector as the first preference now. So that was the first favorable step that the government took in encouraging the use of gas and popularizing it amongst masses, which has enabled the city gas sector to not only grow, but I'm sure it's going to thrive in the coming years. Then the government gave it public utility status, the city gas distribution. So that also has, given a flip to the sector. Several initiatives have been taken by the government in terms of, coming out with guidelines and advisories from various ministries like urban development, in city planning, in smart cities that are being established, and in authorizing plot plan for housing, etc., where they've defined that piped gas should also be one of the ingredients of any plan that is approved by the urban bodies. Similarly, the Ministry of Defense has decided that for their own housing and for their own, cantonments, etc., they will have piped gas distribution networks and they have eased the use of, laying pipelines, etc., in cantonments and defense areas. Similarly, PESO has also come out with a lot of new initiatives where they've made it easy for people to get licenses, authorization for setting up retail outlets, for setting up facilities. They've also given a lot of concessions in the way the structuring of a CNG station, etc., is to be done. The timing which is required to get an approval, etc., have also been squeezed in quite a bit. So all these are proactive initiatives by various government agencies. Also, government, since it decided that the gas share should go up to 15%, unless it reaches the masses and all parts of the country, that would not be possible. So in areas where on economic or financial basis it was not encouraging for investors to invest into pipeline infrastructure, the government came out with a policy where they have started funding a part of the capex for these kind of infrastructures. So first of that was the Jagdishpur Haldia Bokaro Dhamra pipeline in eastern India, where for ages, there was a plan of laying a pipeline infrastructure to take gas into eastern part and northeastern part of the country, but the infrastructure was not getting created. There the government gave a 40% grant for laying of pipelines, allowing the infrastructure to get created. And today, I'm happy to share that most of it is in place, and the rest of it will be ready by the end of 2020, beginning of 2020-21. So a new market for natural gas will get created in states of Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, West Bengal. And then the next initiative that the government took was to create another entity called Indradhanush Natural Gas Company to create the infrastructure in 7 northeastern states. So in conjunction with the Urja Ganga project, which is this pipeline going to the eastern India, the northeast part of the country would also get connected to the national grid. Why I'm stressing on this is that it will open up markets in several states, 7 states in northeast, plus at least 6 states in eastern India, and it will connect this to the national grid, which is predominantly in the western and central and northern part of the country as of now. Eventually, I'm sure the regulator will tell us, the objective is to connect the entire country with the gas grid, connect all sources, whether they be domestic or international sources, import of gas through either piped gas or LNG, with the consuming centers across India. And so a lot of investment is going to go into all these things going forward. And the other good news is that, while city gas networks were existing only in limited, parts of the country in western, northern and say in Gujarat and specifically in Mumbai and New Delhi. Now they have come out with authorization of over 400 districts, which Dr. Sarraf will tell us, going forward, and how those 400 districts are going to act as catalysts for reaching the last, creating the last mile to reach the end customer across the board. So we will have going forward not only large industries like fertilizer plants or power plants, we will have the transport sector using gas in a big way. We will have in every kitchen, for that matter, in these 400 districts going forward, getting connected to piped gas in progressively, and therefore it will open up a huge opportunity for creation of infrastructure as well as for people who want to invest in this sector, and it will create a much cleaner and greener environment going forward. Some of the things which have happened in the last couple of years because of these policies and initiatives which the government has taken is that the PNG connections have grown in the last couple of years by over 150%. CNG stations have grown by over 100%, and today we have close to 2,000 CNG stations operating in the country. Going forward, I think the target is to set up 12,000 stations by all the entities who are authorized to do these. And the growth of use of gas in the CGD sector is over 100% in the last couple of years. And the average pace of growth of the natural gas sector in India today, I'm happy to share, is 16% CAGR, which is by any standards, quite good. And we hope to improve upon it going forward. Also, I would like to share that, the demand of gas, as I said, is if we create all this infrastructure, we get to the markets, is going to grow fivefold. But with the kind of investments which people have already committed, in the next 4 or 5 years, we should be able to reach a figure of 250 million cubic meters of gas use in the cities. Also, the price of gas that, if you look at the international price of gas, LNG delivered cargoes today are coming less than $3 a million BTU delivered into Indian markets. So which is good news. In fact, some of the cargoes we have got in now are cheaper than the domestic gas price in the country. So that is good news. We have huge volumes of gas available across the world, and we have also got good finds in our country. If the, as the infrastructure grows, people will have access to, competitively priced gas. And some studies suggest that, if the price remains in this kind of a mold in the next, say, 2 or 3 years, which is quite likely, then it could actually compete with at least the imported coal, if not the domestic coal price. So here is a product which is not only competitive in terms of price, it is more efficient, it's better fuel, it's contributing towards a cleaner environment, and so it's definitely going to catapult the economic growth of our nation. Also, government recently held a discussion with the industry members I think on 23rd of January, where they came out with a roadmap of newer applications where gas could be utilized. And some of those areas are, for example, the telecom towers, where today DG sets are being used to run them 24/7. That could be a low-hanging fruit, and gas infrastructure, as it gets created, could supply gas-based power to these telecom towers, and they are sizable in number. Similarly, government is also talking of not only intra-city transport, but intercity transport. So buses, long-haul buses and trucking, etc., could also be on CNG and progressively on LNG, depending on the distance and the economic viability, etc. And I'm sure during the panel discussions that will happen, people will tell you how newer materials have come in, which allow, cylinders of less weight, more sturdy, which have more carrying capacity to be utilized as storage spaces in the vehicles. And if the storage capacity in the vehicles grow, the frequency of going to the CNG station or LNG station will also go down drastically. Also, government is talking of using gas for barges and in inland transportation of, moving the barges and vessels in waterways, inland waterways. Similarly, IMO has come out with some international standards on what kind of fuels that you can use. And so if that is anything to go by, LNG use in bunkering is going to be a big opportunity going forward, because all ports, all vessels will have to comply with those kind of norms. So all these, and there are several other opportunities that would come going forward, would create a market which will not only grow but increase the share of the gas use going forward. And I'm sure we will have conducive regulations and policies which are already there. And there are a couple of other things that probably the industry would be looking forward to. Some of them, one of which we have been voicing for a long time, is to include natural gas into the GST network. And till that happens, because that will be a basic ingredient for creating a national market for natural gas. It would allow free flow of gas from, and whatever uneconomic imbalances are there will get evened out. We would also urge the various state governments to, till then reduce the VAT, etc., to bring them at levels which are, which make the fuel more competitive, because there are states which I believe are charging up to 26%. Also, there is a question mark on whether CNG should invite excise duty. There is no manufacturing that is happening in compressing natural gas and converting that into CNG. And today it attracts sizable excise duty. If a view can be taken that, excise duty should not be levied, then CNG would be very, very competitive as compared to any other fuel. Also, there are, newer markets which are getting connected to the infrastructure, and where a lot of investors are investing into creation of networks. There, the local governments, the state governments, etc., should also pitch in to support creation of demand. While these people would be investing and creating the infrastructure, but if we just leave it to the market to come to grow, probably it will take a longer time. But if the local governments, the municipalities and the states support the cause of using CNG, PNG and LNG, etc., through various mechanisms, then the impetus or the growth of this sector would be much faster. Also, there are a lot of issues relating to availability of land, allotment of land, and several other approvals that different players require to create the infrastructure. While government is looking at ease of doing business in India, I'm sure this sector requires a specific, focused approach to ensure that, availability of land is there for setting up stations, availability of land for creating infrastructure, even support systems, emergency response centers, etc., should be there. And then there is another option that is available to, for dispensing CNG for that matter, is to have mobile cascade dispensing facilities, which are proven, used elsewhere in the world, and it's a no-brainer, except that, we need some kind of regulations and some kind of authorizations to be in place for at least meeting the peak demands, or where there is big single point demand which is existing. Why should the vehicles travel to the CNG stations? Why can't the gas be dispensed there itself? So these are some issues which are grappling, which the industry players are being faced with. Similarly, approvals from government agencies like railways, forest, NHI, etc., they should be all time bound. They are doing their efforts. They have reduced the time required considerably. But if some of these are done in a time bound mission mode manner, I'm sure the industry is going to prosper. So I think there are lots of other things which I'm sure we'll discuss as we go forward. I would like to thank the organizers for organizing this. I would thank Dr. Bhargav and Dr. Sarraf especially for making it convenient to come here this morning, and all the other esteemed guests, panelists and speakers. Thank you very much.